name's Owen, and I'm the Dungeon Master of our Return of the Giants 5th edition homebrew campaign.
Hi, I'm Ali. I'm playing Lyra, the Eladrin Spore Druid, and she is just a little bit obsessed with mushrooms.
Hi, my name's Simon. I'm playing the character of Ember. I'm a wildfire druid who's on a quest to be the very best there ever was.
Hi, I'm Dave, and I play Harry Harrington, the Harrengon, the roguish merchant with the heart of gold.
My name is Christian. I'm playing Bartholomew, the romantic dancing Owlin, Paladin of devotion.
Hi, my name is Matt, and I'll be playing Niles Silverwind, the Owlin, Way of the Sympathy Monk.
Hey guys, I'm Jared. I play the character of Threign, the boisterous frost giant, the Goliath, path of the giant Barbarian.
Hello there, lovely listener. This is just a warning to let you know that this episode of Return of the Giants may contain adult language or adult themes. Hello everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Lost Archives. It is wonderful to see all of your gorgeous faces once again. We are here. We are playing the premier homebrew Dungeons & Dragons campaign, Return of the Giants, which you can catch live right here, twitch.tv/The Lost Archives, roughly about 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. We're starting a little bit later tonight, but we are live. We are here. If you're watching or listening to this recorded, you can catch us on any podcast platform of your choice or on the very excellent YouTube at The Lost Archives D&D. Super easy to find. We've got loads of campaigns, Avatar Legends, D&D, as well as some other fun stuff like Baldur's Gate 3, some little fun indie games like The Wandering Village, Raft, stuff like that. So you can find loads of good stuff over at The Lost Archives. Now, quick announcements for tonight. Massive thank you to everyone who's joined me for the live Baldur's Gate 3 streams. Our full Bard multiplayer party, Bard to the Bone, has been absolutely loads of fun. Also loads of chaos, which is what you'd expect from an all-Bard party, but I am pleased to report that an all-Bard party is how the game is meant to be played. You might think that like party composition and different roles is really important. And sure, we've almost TPK'd a number of times. In fact, we have TPK'd a couple of times. But our expedition to the Githyanki Creche today, I tell you, we came close to death many times, but it was worth it. As an all-Bard party, it was worth it. And that Inquisitor right down the bottom, man, having all the Bards just dunk on him immediately at the beginning of combat with a whole bunch of like debuffs, he was actually trivial. I think we had him drop his sword, we had it picked up, we then had him like on the ground crying in fear, like for the whole game. It was fantastic. It's really... Bard Party is really fun. It's That's very entertaining. Yeah, wow. we've had a lot of fun.
Command is a level 1 spell, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys use it to get the flame sword at the start with the Cambion?
Obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just manage that?
Yeah, just drop.
Just go. He doesn't pick it up. He just fist fights the mind
fist, yeah, exactly.
Grab the sword
and picking weapons up is a free action. It's like just part of your movement. So like you still get your action and bonus action afterwards.
Just blown Ali's mind.
And I spent far too many hours like
trying to beat
get him like just
kill
like
him
the
to
two
get
of us re-rolling.
Nah, man. Just Bard command, man. It's how it's meant to be played.
Shadowheart's right there too. Like it's just
like it's meant to be played. The other fun thing I found out today, which other people didn't know, but I did know this little trick. If you're in the Druid Grove, actually this wasn't today I found this out, but if you're in the Druid Grove and you want to get the defense ring from Mole, but you also don't want to steal the idol of Sylvanus, you can steal the idol, give it to Mole, get the reward, pickpocket Mole, take the idol back, put it back on the pedestal, and there are no consequences for doing this. In fact, when Mole finds out later that you pickpocketed her, she wants to recruit the person who stole it from her. She goes, "The idol's been stolen. When I find that person, they're joining our Thieves Guild."
That's so great.
Good. It's really funny.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
There's a lot of cool stuff you can do.
Right.
I won't talk about Baldur's Gate too late because we are too long because we are a little bit late tonight. So let's jump in. But yeah, there's some fun shit. Maybe we should do like a little compilation video of all the fun shit we found out you can do.
Oh, you should.
Be fun.
Highlights reel. That'd be fun.
There'd be a lot though. There's so much detail. Like Larian have gone. Like I wish this was the new standard and not the gold star standout platinum experience of video gaming. I wish this was the new standard for RPGs because it is incredible. And what they've done is fucking amazing.
Well, they make a game that they care about the consumer, and guess what? They win Game of the Year.
It's crazy, right? And one where they reward like creative play, engaged, like effort. Yeah.
Hopefully they keep up with the new company, right? Because unfortunately they like lay off the entire workforce that made it.
Larian? I don't think
I haven't noticed.
so. I haven't heard
And
about
they've
I think
that.
moved on to,
Larian's
like
there.
a new studio now.
Oh,
Let me double check.
Really? I hadn't heard about that. I know Wizards of the Coast have been laying people off left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
Hadn't heard of Larian were. I hope not. That'd be really sad. While you're checking that, I don't have anything else fun to share. Anything else fun before we start the stream? Before we start the episode?
I talked about before we started stream, Claire Obscura, Expedition 33.
Yes.
So excited. The voice of Shadowheart, the voice of Charlie Cox, who's Daredevil in the new things, and the voice of Ben Starr from Final Fantasy 16. A French developer. Looks great. I'm so excited. Turn-based, but with like quick time events. Might mix it up. I'm excited.
I'm keen to check this out. I hadn't heard of it before you brought it up tonight. I'm keen to check it out. It looks really
I've
interesting.
been watching this for a while. Day one Games Pass.
Okay,
There you go.
there he is. Well, he got his
Is it
day.
the Expedition 33?
Expedition 33, Claire Obscura. He got his Games Pass. For those playing along at home, Dave did get his Games Pass reference out tonight, which is a bingo strike for him.
You know what else is on Games Pass day one?
Here it comes.
Because Bethesda owned it. Oblivion.
The remaster.
The remaster?
The remaster is on
Mhm.
Games Pass, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Fuck. Okay, fair enough.
Seems like good value, doesn't it?
Yeah, fuck. Okay.
Don't have an Xbox.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yep. Good to know. All right, let's do our recap. Let's jump in. I've got our recap ready to rock and roll. Oh, so for those watching on the stream and YouTube, Simon is with us. I think he's just having some food, so his camera's going to be off. But he is with us. So let me do our recap and let us jump into the session. The Tempest Adventuring Guild, a name now legendary across the lands of Nostea, is taking on the threat posed by the return of the Giants. Lyra, Niles, Harry, Ember, and Bartholomew has sailed across the waves to the Shattered Isles, making their way to the site of a volcanic eruption. After recovering Bart's severed wings and taking them to the flesh sculpture at Willwood to have them reattached, Bart was soon flying once more, lost to the abandon of his joy. But back downstairs with the flesh sculptor, Lyra and Ember chatted with the Rzitchik to learn more about the volcanic eruptions nearby, spotting a glint of metal inside the caldera of a nearby volcano when looking through a magical illusion. The previous night, Ember had experienced an intense and seemingly prophetic dream in which he watched flames begin to burn away his homeland, mountains erupting and spewing forth an endless stream of dark smoke and burning magma across the land. Concerned about the meaning of this dream and the connection it seemed to share with the nearby events, the team decided they needed to investigate. With their journey taking them to the small coastal community of Mudria, the team were very surprised to find a large number of Maloran orc rafts docked or beached, the many sailors working quickly to assist or carry evacuated victims from the volcano's reach to a central longhouse. Spotting a familiar face amongst the crowd of helpers, Ember caught up with fellow Ashgrove Firbolg Ikar, who had been searching for a water spirit challenger somewhere around Heatmeave when he spied a fire giant working with strange metal chains only moments before the volcano's eruption. Burned on his face despite his fire spirit spark taking the brunt of the damage, Ikar was keen to head home to rest and warn the Ashgrove of what had happened. While Ember caught up with his old friend, Lyra, Niles, and Harry had a chat with a nearby Maloran orc working on his raft, introduced to the team as Macwi, or Mac for short. Speaking with him, the team learned that he and his husband had helped with the transport of people from the town of Heatmeave, having rushed there with many of his comrades from the nearby floating city of Seastride. In the chaos of the disaster, Mac and his partner Setu were keen to head back out to search for some of their missing friends as soon as possible, the party offering their assistance in exchange for transport. Meanwhile, Bart made his way up to the Longhouse, the many injured victims from the eruption being treated as best as the locals and Maloran orc visitors could manage. Calling upon his paladin powers and the enchanted tattoo he had received in Oxenfurt, Bart unleashed a wave of healing energy focused through the holy symbol of Melora he had recovered on his journey. The sudden flash of power did more than restore the hurt and injured people, though. It drew the attention of the goddess Melora in that moment. Speaking with a priestess of Melora called a Tide Mistress, Bart and Ember found out a little bit more about the Maloran orc's journey towards this island, as well as what had occurred moments before the volcano's eruption. Meanwhile, Lyra and Niles chatted with a Tortle store owner, York, to buy supplies for their journey, learning he had spotted a flying castle only a few nights prior. Harry was watching the docks while this was going on, spotting some Maloran orcs speaking with aquatic humanoids he soon recognized as Triton. Heading down to chat with them, Harry was introduced to Rilla, who was also from Rilia, who was also from Seastride, soon agreeing to join the group as they journeyed with Mac toward the volcano. With the whole team now reunited, the Wake Rider departed across the dark seas, the twin moons half hidden by the clouds of volcanic ash and smoke high above. With Ember's drift globe providing light to help them along the way, the party alternated between keeping watch and catching up on rest. We left off last session though, as the party spied a disturbance in the water ahead, the sea churning as seabirds flew above the water's surface. An enormous grey-scaled form burst suddenly from the waves, snapping at some of the birds flying above, before crashing back down into the dark waters once again. The Triton Rillia called out something in Orcish, Mac grabbing the rudder and trying to steer the boat aside. And that is where we left off last session. So, what would you like to do?
You muted, Christian.
Got him.
Sorry.
I would like to just remember something from last session. I forgot to mention it. Last session was the very first session that Bart wasn't mentioned as newcomer Bart, and I was like, ooh, I felt I had a little fangirl moment. I just remembered as you were doing the introduction tonight that I forgot to say anything about it. It may be small and a nothing thing, but to me it's nice. But there's a big monster, so yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Also, I gained a level of exhaustion, just double checking, doing 2024, so it's just a -1 to all my rolls?
Yep, 2024.
Okay.
Oh, it's pretty easy. No, I thought it was disadvantage, but that must be changed for the exhaustion rolls for 2024.
Yeah, so it was. 2024, they've made it much simpler. It's now just, you get a negative to your roll of double your level of exhaustion. So actually, no, I have a -2 to everything, I think.
Oh.
So if you 3 levels of exhaustion, you get -6 to all your rolls.
It's pretty brutal.
That is pretty brutal.
Does make it easier to track though, rather than all these other status effects.
Yeah.
Okay, so how far ahead of us is this entity that's just crashed out?
Yeah, so where we left off last time, the boat was sort of cutting through the waves, the moons above, giving some meager light through the cloud cover. Again, that volcano that's spewing this ash and smoke into the sky is obscuring a lot of the light that you get from the twin moons orbiting high above Melody and Phoebe. The waves in front of you, the disturbance in the ocean, you spied probably about 200 feet in front of you. These birds circling high above, very unusual to see seabirds flying around at night, especially active at night. And as the surface of the water churned and was disrupted, you watched as this dark shape basically exploded from the water's surface, snapping at some of the seabirds before crashing back down again. A grey, sort of semi-scaly form. Enormous. We're talking a huge creature, bigger than your boat, 3 times the size of your boat. Very long, elongated form, not dissimilar to a whale or a dolphin, but stretched, almost serpent-like in a way, with these rows of fins spraying out from it, and the scales giving off this almost chromatic, chitinous kind of surface, this coloration. As this creature smashed back down into the water, a spray rose up in front of you. As soon as Rillia, the Triton, jumped back on the boat and called out in Orcish, as Mac pulled the rudder aside, turning the boat towards the left to try and steer away from the surface of the water, you watched as a dark shape moved underneath the boat, seeming like another one was there, potentially.
Oh, so it's taking up some sort of offensive.
Well, it's hard to say. It's probably only in the moment of. Yeah. More likely there's 2 of them. You think the distance
there's one
that
that's
it's
just
covered is
crashed and another one that's just come underneath.
Yeah.
A couple of seconds difference between them. Also, I know that Bart hasn't, but the rest of the party have seen a snapping turtle. You said this thing is elongated like a whale. It's not round when it came out of the water.
Imagine in your mind, and your knowledge of D&D is not going to help you here. This is a completely homebrew creature. By me, so this is there's nothing that you can draw upon, unfortunately, in this moment. Imagine like a blue whale, very, very long, almost stretched out to be almost serpent-like, long sections of fins. So the dorsal fins and those side fins, imagine sort of rows of about 6 of them heading back along the bottom. Almost imagine someone took a whale lord, right? Covered it in grey scales and stretched it out. Is the best way to kind of imagine it. Much more of that sort of pointed cetacean.
Almost like a water centipede, multiple.
Yeah. Absolutely, with these rows of fins along the side, and across that surface of the scales, the upper portion of the scales, rows of bioluminescent lights shining in the dark. And as soon as it plunges back below the waves, those lights immediately seem to go dim once again, hard to spot.
What do I think like Subnautica Leviathan vibes?
It's because it's deep. It's something that's from deep. Yeah.
I would be lying if I said one of my
Lyra
favorite games of all
trance.
time, Subnautica, had no influence on this creature. I would be
Yeah,
lying.
no, definitely
Almost a little bit Sea Emperor-esque. The long elongated form of the Sea Leviathan. No, not the Sea Dragon. What's the Reaper Leviathan is the one I'm thinking of. Imagine almost like the Reaper Leviathan elongated form, but maybe not quite as thin, much more bulky like a whale's.
Oh, I hate that.
Whale shark.
I hate that.
Yeah, imagine, a little bit like a whale shark, an elongated whale shark. Like an oarfish cross a whale shark. Grey, sort of scaly.
Ew.
We're not the natives here. Hopefully the Triton knows something. So I'm going to sort of like arc around towards the boat with Niles in tow,
Yeah.
and not wanting to land just in case we're needed in the sky. Just sort of scream as we're flying overhead. What do we do?
You watch as Max, straining against the rudder, calls up to you, and Niles goes, "You need to get on the boat now." As he calls up, seeming to like potentially be a bit concerned about something. You can sense the
land.
fear in his voice.
I was going to say, I'm not sure about the rules that sort of, we've been running with for like sort of the mid-trance interruptions and stuff, but it's like, is this enough to sort of like bring Lyra sort of out of the trance?
The boat
And
shudders and then turns, lifting up on one side as because it's on essentially like the two. I'm struggling with words.
Pontoons.
It's so funny. Yeah, like the two pontoons, and so it's pulled up on one of those pontoons, like a catamaran. It's pulled up on one of those pontoons. The outrigger's lifted up fully from the water at this point, is now up in the air. As the boat suddenly spins, you watch as Setu, Mac's husband, grabs onto one of the ropes, pulls it, holds it against the deck with his feet, pulling out a dagger and actually cutting another rope. The urgency of this so great that he can't even wait to undo some of these ropes. As the sail clips and turns, catching the wind, anyone who's taking a long rest is awoken from this. At this point, your long rest is paused, not interrupted, shall we say.
can I cast Speak with Animals?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And then just like sort of holding on to sort of, I'm assuming there's sort of ropes around these sort of edges that I can sort of hold on to, but holding on to something,
Yes.
head underwater, and I'm assuming that this will transmit, and if not, I'm going to have to blow another spell slot.
You said head underwater?
Head underwater, just because they can't hear us. If we're talking up on land, like, they're underwater, they're not hearing this, but...
Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to land next to Lyra, seeing her doing something. This was the plan anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust her, but I'm going to have just a command spell held and ready if one of them gets close to her, dangerously close.
I also want to, like, considering how, like, the ship is moving and how quickly all of this is unfolding, and I'm seeing Lyra like almost like throw herself overboard to like dunk her head in the water. I want to like just tie a rope around her so she doesn't go overboard, and just sort of lash that to the nearest possible tie-off point.
Alrighty. Lyra, as you, with Niles and Bart's help, as they both sort of land down on the deck of the ship, Bart throwing some rope around you to tie you off, holding the other end, bracing it maybe against Bart, the stronger of the two in this moment, as you brace and hold the rope in position. Harry and Ember, what will the two of you be doing while this happens? As Lyra basically throws herself half overboard. You watch as she like holds her hands up. What are the somatic components of Speak with Animals?
Battle somatic. So I'm just assuming it's just sort of like...
You just call out some words. Are there any? No, there's no material. So it's just verbal and somatic. So you just you watch as Lyra calls out some words in magic. Her hands move around. She's like little rabbit ears, little like elk horns. Snapping. Yeah, and then just you watch she like puts her head straight underwater.
Also, it's like, that grogginess, like you've just been woken up out of like a super long nap, and you're just like, for fuck's sake, it's like, you're gonna deal with this, walks over, cast spell,
There's a, like, it's too early for this shit kind of vibe as well. Yeah, cool. Okay.
I mean, I'll just be trying to pay attention to what Lyra's actually doing, because, I mean, being a Firbolg, I normally may communicate with some different beasts and things like that as well anyway. So I'll just be seeing how this is playing out, and depending on the vibe between the two of them.
There are birds flying above as well, Ember. There's a whole flock of seabirds. With the sudden bursting of that whale-like creature before slamming back down to the water, you watch as the flock of seabirds scatters for a moment, but then begins to fly again once over this patch of sea. You're not sure what it is that's drawn them here or what they're looking at, but it's clearly like enough to override the danger that they're in from these large creatures. Clearly they're feeding on the birds. You watch one it just throws itself into the air, grabs a couple of the birds in its mouth, and then disappears back below the waves.
I mean, I'm pretty tapped for spell slots at the moment, so I don't want to try and cast anything at the moment at a high level, like speak with animals as well. But I'll just wait and see how it plays out first, and then go from there.
Ember, I don't know what's happening with the birds, but maybe now is the time to use that daylight from the orb. If we can see a bit further, maybe we can see what's in the water.
What, are you already casting daylight?
Well, it's
Light
creating
at this
light,
point.
but daylight is like
only for an hour.
but it's only for 1 hour.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. Seeing that, I'd do that, turn around, and get to cast daylight instead.
Because we've got the creatures, but we've also got whatever's happening with the seagulls. Maybe it'll give us a bit more of like a... What's the...
Illumination.
Yeah.
As you turn around and place your hand upon the orb and speak the command word for daylight, which in this moment you can make up because you've never used it. What would you like as your word? Because we joked about the word for light and daylight.
Yeah, didn't we say one was flash and the other one was...
Sunny day.
Sunny
Sunny
day.
day.
Yeah, there you go.
As you say the Firbolg for sunny day, you watch as the drift globe, very much like Gandalf riding towards the Nazgul, there's this momentary flash of light along the horizontal axis as the drift globe, the internal components seem to open and twist as the light burns from it, the glass twisting and moving, releasing all of that stored light in one burst, before this, almost like an orb of light, explodes around the ship, illuminating everything. For a moment you have to squint against it, the sudden increase in luminosity hurting your eyes in this sudden moment. But as your eyes adjust, could I please get a perception check from Harry and Ember? The two of you are the ones who are up on the surface focusing.
Didn't I roll a perception check last week for like keeping a lookout on the boat?
You did, and that's how you spotted this disturbance in the water, and you had a bit of forewarning for it.
Okay.
Could I get another perception check for something else? Lyra, as your head is going under the water, could I please get a perception check from you, please?
All right.
Or investigation.
Does it have anything to do with the hearing?
No. Although, I will allow you, if you wanted to focus on hearing, I'll tell you what you hear rather than what you see.
I'm gonna go with hearing because you can't see shit more than,
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, like the sea at night is visibility is very limited, even with daylight above, because so much is reflected off the water's surface, especially when it's choppy. You lose so much light as you go down. 24 for perception. 24 for Ember as well. 14 for Harry. We're keeping it really consistent with the 4s tonight. Harry, let's do you first. Ember, you see this as well, and we'll give you a little bit more. Harry and Ember, the sudden flash of light, you watch as the birds immediately react, turning and wheeling, this sort of strange whistling cry coming from them as you look up. They look to be some sort of like water tern, these birds that fly out and spend long, long periods away. Very seagull-esque, but much more angular, with these sort of like wings at like a 45-degree angle to create that kind of lift across long ocean flights. Black and white sort of coloration, very long, thin beaks designed for fishing to spear down and grab fish from the water. As soon as the explosion of light comes from your drift globe, you watch as they turn and wheel, spinning away, some of them letting out these like whistling cries as they move away, flying up. Ember. Surface of the water, that disturbance, as soon as the light blasts across it, you can see there are hundreds, thousands of shapes moving and writhing across the surface, and you realize it's an enormous bait ball. A huge, massive shoal of fish pushed right up to the surface of the water, possibly drawn to the light of the moons, maybe to the ashfall, you're not sure, but whatever has caused this has grouped together a massive shoal of fish. The fish at this, I mean, you got a 24. Sorry, you can identify them. You can see what they are from this distance with a 24. You can see it looks to be some sort of very sleek, silver-scaled fish, maybe something like a brim, but in a massive, massive shoal. And as they are all pushed up at the surface, you can see below that enormous dark shape that had jumped up before is diving down again and slowly beginning to move back up towards the surface. And you realize it probably wasn't going for the birds. You think the birds might have been an unintentional casualty in this. Harry, with a 14 as well, the other thing you see is that dark shape beneath you is currently perfectly underneath the boat, and you watch as it slowly turns. These 3 massive eyes along the side, 2 smaller and then 1 larger, look up at the boat. You can see these dark green irises reflecting the sunlight, and you watch as this enormous creature almost seems to slow down a little bit. One of the fins raising up as it just cuts the surface of the water before slowly falling back down to break its acceleration and slow down right underneath the sudden source of light above. You watch as Setu, the Maloran orc, husband of Mac, seeing the sudden light, squints against it, looks and goes, "Oh gods, they're going to come here now!" As he points at the bait ball, and you see Ember, that sudden writhing fish, begins moving rapidly over towards your boat.
Oh, no.
Harry looks at him. And he says, "You're gonna need a bigger boat."
Thank you. Fantastic.
Nice.
Thank you. Well done. Well
I
done,
was so
sir.
hoping you'd have some sort of magical darkness.
No. He's here for the references, and that's it.
Yeah.
and to promote
Magical
Games
darkness
Pass.
is not big enough. I did look that one up.
After Lyra's perception check, there's something that Bart would like to do.
Yeah. Lyra, underneath the surface of the water, as soon as you plunge your head below the waves, you can hear the sounds of the boat, the wood creaking, amplified by the water around you, the sound of the waves splashing over the surface, and as you close your eyes and focus, you can hear these vibrations. At first, it's hard to kind of identify what they are, but as you concentrate and as the water suddenly fills in your ears and allows that transference of sound properly without that air barrier in place, you can hear these low, almost musical tones calling out with occasional high up whistles, echoing through the dark waters beneath. You think you can hear 3, maybe 4 individuals in this moment.
All right, so this is a bit of a question, but Speak with Animals doesn't specify whether that you're communicating in their language or they're communicating in yours.
I'm going to rule it goes both ways. When you speak, the magic converts it into a language they understand, and when they speak, your ears communicate it. The magic communicates it to you as a language you understand. In this case, the music that you hear, you can hear the music underneath, but you can also feel the intention, that the magic swirling and almost like trying to translate this on the fly. You hear the closest one, the loudest one. Light above, bright. And then an answering call from further. Fish swim close, down, bubbles blow. And then a much fainter voice from far, far beneath. Releasing air. And then you hear the sound of a huge amount of bubbles suddenly rising up underneath.
It's dolphin fishing! Bubble nets, but okay, can I respond with just a general vibe of distress, but then also one of just not food, inedible, and then like false light or like false food. I don't know what their intelligence scores are, so I'm like just trying to make it the most understandable as possible. Like, but not food, false light maybe. And it's like something about like danger, like don't eat this. This is danger. Like,
okay, I'm gonna say, given that you're kind of going for don't eat this. This is danger. I was gonna say you could make an animal handling or a persuasion check. I'm gonna say this more falls under animal handling or intimidation check in a way. You could use persuasion if you like. I'd say intimidation, persuasion, or animal handling here. It's not a lie. It's not deception.
It sounds surprisingly something like what food would say.
It does sound. Do you know what, Harry? You're right. You're right, Harry. It does sound like what food would say. And with a 12,
does their food talk back?
As Lyra, with your head under the water, your eyes still closed, you go, ooh. Letting out
Not
these,
food.
Not food.
Ouchie.
Bolt, splinter, sore tongue. As you call out through the depths. There's a moment, sore tummy. There's a moment of confusion. We've got the title of the episode. It's going to be a picture of these massive webs that just sore tummy. Oh my god. As you call out, the noise that echoing from you don't quite have the lung capacity nor the resonance to be able to like create the volume that these creatures are providing to resonate through the waves like this, but water carries sound really well regardless. And as soon as you say this, you hear all of the music begin to slow and stop, and then replaced with curious, who speaks? Is it calf? Sounds different. Who speaks?
And then it's this moment of, oh my gosh, how far under do these guys normally live? Like, have they encountered any surface dwellers? And then it's just, I think it's just gonna be like friend on a boat, or like friend on a floating friend. A floating friend.
Food on a plate?
Floating friend. Floating friend, not food.
Absolutely fantastic. But
Wow.
what would you like to do as Lyra? You can see bubbles rising up around Lyra. You can hear her like screaming underwater. You think it does seem to be intentional. She has to be going. It seems like she's doing something.
Look, despite the negative to his rolls, Bart still has the thicker body when it comes to, I guess, like grunting through the wind compared to Niles. I know that it was a con save last time. And due to that, Bart is going to fly towards the drift globe at a horizontal angle up and try to grab it and head away from the ship.
I was going to suggest, like, I was wanting Lyra's thing playing out, but I was going to, because I was next to it as well, thinking that maybe that is what's happening, seeing all the fish. I was going to get Flicker just to start flying it out as well, because he's with me.
Oh, yeah.
And Flicker can also teleport it back.
Yeah, exactly right. And it can't get further than 60 feet from me as well, so it should follow me regardless. He can kind of sit with it.
It will, yeah, that's true. Actually, that's a good point. Yeah, as soon as it gets 60 feet away, it'll just fly behind you at a pace that matches yours. Okay. But as you go to fly over, you watch as Ember like picks up the drift glove, chucks it up in his hand a few times, and then lobs it like a fucking Pokeball off the side of the ship. He just watches it. And then a moment later, you watch as Flicker flies over, catches it out of the air acrobatically, and then begins flying off behind the boat, carrying the drift globe high above. Harry, as Ember does this, you watch as the surface of the sea, that massive bait ball, something seems to be happening below the waves as a wall of bubbles erupts beneath the boat on the sort of like bow of the boat and in the middle of the bait ball. As the fish are scattered and disoriented, you watch as the light shining over that way, the fish immediately turn, this massive bait ball shifting and moving almost like a single organism, rushing towards the light as it disappears over towards 60 feet over towards the side of the boat. Flicker sort of lifting it aloft, his flames burning with a nice orange glow as well. What would you like to do, Harry?
Well, I mean, everyone seems to have a handle on it. Maybe Harry will pull out a carrot and watch that. He turns to the Maloran orcs. He's like, "What can I do to help stabilize the boat or get it moving?"
You can see Mac is now slowly starting to pull the rudder back into a more neutral position as he looks out across the light shining over. You can see that Setu has got the sail back under control. Rilia has dived overboard and disappeared once more into the water, vanishing from sight, the Triton who was with you. And you can see Mac wipes a bead of sweat off his brow, looks over at you, Harry, and goes, "Actually, I think we are pretty good now. That seemed to go well. It was just that we were heading right for a bait ball while the cetaceans were feeding. We just don't want to get caught up in it. They are gentle giants, but they do not pay much attention to what's on the surface when they are feeding. It can be bad when they strike our boat. I think we're okay now, though. And luckily they didn't have any doesn't look like they had any water elementals surrounding them or following them, keeping them guard. I think we're okay.
Did you say Centaceans?
Cetaceans. Cetaceans,
That's
sorry.
sick. What a cool name.
But keep an eye out if you notice any water moving differently or acting odd. We need to be careful there. Some generally are surrounded or followed by water elementals that guard them viciously.
Harry will know that and specifically watch for that from his
Watch for
point.
weird water. Do you want to make me an investigation check, Harry? I think you have advantage if you're using your spyglass.
With my
Or
spyglass, good.
Your
That's good.
eyes of minute seeing, I think it was, sorry, not spyglass.
Correct.
Would I be using my minute seeing for this though? As much as I would love advantage.
I don't see why not. You're kind of like looking at the surface of the water, examining it. Makes sense to me.
No, that doesn't matter.
4 and a 5. Harry,
Wow.
I mean, the water's moving a lot. There's waves. There's the boat cutting through it. There's fish. Fuck, I mean, as you look at a puddle that's sort of splashed onto the deck, you watch as it kind of shifts and moves a bit. Wait. It shifted and moved by itself, Harry. No. It's okay. It's just the
Harry
wind.
points this out. Harry points this out to everyone every chance he gets.
Fantastic. Niles, I think you're the only other person we haven't touched on yet as we jump back to Lyra. Would you be doing anything? You hear this as well? All of you hear this except for Lyra, who's currently underwater. But the rest of you hear this.
I mean, I'm probably taking up more of it now that Bart's obviously flown over to the Drift Globe. Niles is probably just on duty to help pull Lyra in case she not comes overboard. But seeing the boat sort of take up more of a neutral position and seemingly getting out of the way of danger, Niles is probably just keeping an eye out now. Keeping an eye on Lyra, but keeping an eye out on whatever side of the boat would be facing out towards. I don't know if that would be the starboard or whatever side of the boat it would be. But yeah, I'll probably just be like looking around.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'll just be keeping an eye out.
Perfect.
Guys, should we I think the light's like a good idea for us to see, but should we like turn it off so we're not this big giant target?
I mean, is that what was causing the problem?
Oh no, I mean I don't know. I don't speak fish, but just thinking about it, like as Harrengon, when we're out in the forest at night and there are dangerous things, we don't necessarily walk around with a big flashlight that says "I'm here."
It's the warrior. It's the same as dungeoneers. When you go into a dungeon, you light a torch when you're going down so you don't step into traps, but you might still attract creatures. It's the lesser of two evils, I guess. I'm fine with turning it off, but obviously this is only the only time we're going to be able to use this ability today.
I think the risk is far too great if we have the drift globe off. The risk of coming across any debris in the water. Max said himself there's lots of stones and other floating debris that we might not be able to otherwise see. Granted, these creatures seem confused and the light source seemingly brought these fish to the surface, but I mean the birds and these creatures were already out here. I don't think they were attracted to the drift globe, although they were when they saw it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can see perfectly well in the dark, but oh look, there's some movement over there. Oh no, that was nothing. I'm not fussed.
Mac, you're the expert. What do you think?
The fish would have come up, probably spawning or maybe disturbed from deeper waters because of the volcano. I'm not sure, but they would have stayed at the surface, looking at the lights of the moon, even if it is dark with the heavy obscuring of the smoke. I think having that moment, that sudden flash of light, was going to bring the bait ball over to us, but now that it is off the side of the boat, 60 feet, we should be okay. And Rillia will be talking to the Cetaceans now, letting them know that we are nearby. The danger was more the fact that we came across them so quickly. And if we had gone over the surface, if they had jumped up and hit the boat while they were feeding, we could have been in real trouble. And the water elementals, that is the other danger. Cetaceans normally have one or two that travel with them, move with them.
Why is that?
We don't know.
That's unusual, correct?
We don't know. It is not something we have been ever able to find out. There's a myth and a story that the Tritons tell, that the Cetaceans are elemental beings of water originally, that they are kept safe and guarded by the elementals of water, but I don't know. It is a
maybe
myth.
like the large creature we saw in the stone giant dreams. Something ancient and old and primordial.
To see two of them is pretty rare. They must have come up from the deeper waters. It is very rare to see two of them. Maybe once, maybe a mother and calf on occasion when they come up to feed, but to see two is very lucky. You are blessed this day to see them. They are rare, these creatures. Not many left.
Tap Lyra's shoulder.
Yeah.
Lyra.
Pull you out of the water.
You okay, Lyra? You're not drowning down there? Oh,
What's going on?
Beneath the
Oh
water.
gosh, she's been there the whole time.
Beneath the
I can
water.
breath.
Yeah, as you hear them sort of call out confusion. What are you? What is this? What would you be doing? What would you be doing?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm assuming that they might have a notion of surface dweller, so it's just surface dweller, friend. But yeah, just trying to sort of convey sort of peaceful, non-combative, like, hey, please don't eat us vibes.
There's a pause before you hear the loudest voice, the one that's beneath you, respond, and this resonates through the water underneath. Above the water, all of you feel the ship vibrate as this song sings beneath you, as the massive cetacean that's right underneath the boat has kept pace with you, maybe 10, 20 feet below the water's surface, these enormous eyes looking up at you as it has kept a very slow, lazy pace underneath, following on its side as it looks up. Yes, Ali.
It's just, once you said song, it's just a thought, but it's probably something that I did try in that second line of communication, but I'm wondering now if Myconid's song also might, like, I'm not sure if it helps just convey vibe, like if they probably don't understand it at all, considering it's so far removed, but
Vibe check.
it's definitely something that I'd be trying.
Would you begin to tap into the, I guess, like the rhythms and the tones of the Myconids?
Like that same intonation, tonal, just conveying of vibe, like an intent kind of thing.
Vibe check.
Lyra, there's a pause as the songs fade, as you close your eyes and concentrate on the songs of the Myconids. Above the water, you watch Harry, Ember, Bart, and Niles. You watch as Swampy once again, as Lyra begins to call upon these Myconid powers. You watch as Swampy begins to slowly rise from Lyra's body. Not the full overtaking, a much sort of smaller, almost like a shadow hovering above her, this three-dimensional shadow of mushroom spores and mycelium. As Swampy sort of rises above, and you watch as Swampy holds its hands sort of at its sides and then raises them slowly as you hear these tones begin to emanate from Lyra and from Swampy. Beneath the surface of the waves, Lyra, there's a pause and a calm and a quiet. And then you hear in response, spores. We hear. We understand. And then you watch as the massive cetacean that's been following underneath slowly begins to break away. Song traveling. Yeah, did you want to say something or do something?
Just a song of see you later, I guess. Thanks for not fucking us up. See you later.
It's like Bear in the Big Blue House, goodbye.
Exactly that.
Goodbye for today. I'll see you again.
It has been an age since we heard the song of spores. We will hear it again, Spore Sister.
That's cool.
As they begin to turn and dive back below the waves. There's another voice that joins in, a much higher voice, right underneath the boat. And as you open your eyes, you can see Rilia is there singing out as well. Not speaking in the language of the whales, but calling out in this very like echoey kind of resonating hum that does seem to sort of catch their attention a little bit, but nowhere near as much as the speak with animals that you're using. You watch as they kind of, there's a few short clicks As they turn, you watch as the massive one underneath the boat looks up, sees Rillia floating in the water, and you hear resonated back, sea swimmer, we shall dive down to the depths. You watch as the cetaceans slowly begin to spin and dive back down. The fish, having been distracted long enough, the cetaceans distracted long enough, the bait ball has begun to split and break apart, moving away from the light, no longer trapped by the line of bubbles as they begin to depart.
Could the song that I didn't write the name, the Triton, the song that the Triton just made for sort of like a leaving or farewell, or can Bart try to I guess with like my performance skills, jot down the in my mind, at least for now, the notes, try to remember the pattern for that for later?
Yes, you may try and do that. Could you make for me a performance check? But this is with disadvantage. Part of the problem is you're not underwater, so it's very hard to hear this. This is a song that kind of resonates through water. You can't really hear it above the surface of the water. So really, like in this moment, Ali?
I was going to say, just before he rolls, I'm not sure if this is something that he maybe mentions after Lyra's head is back above water, but maybe it's like if she also has sort of heard some of it, she can be like, oh, no, sorry, that was a C, wasn't a D. Like, it just sort of can help correct some notes.
With her big pitch.
I will adjust the DC accordingly. The other thing that's tricky here is that this is he's using his Triton feature, Aquan Speak, which lets him sort of speak to aquatic animals. So it's I'm describing it as a song as like a way that he's speaking to them, but he's really using his Aquan language. Yeah, absolutely. Performance with disadvantage. I will adjust the DC for Lyra's assistance.
Yeah.
16's
I got
not
a
too
good
bad.
plus, but yeah.
16's not too bad. You think you've captured a little bit of it, like the tone and the general kind of like pattern of notes. You think you've got a fair understanding of it, but you're not 100% sure you've got it right. You think there might be more to it. But you think you've got a fair approximation of it.
Okay.
As the massive cetacean underneath the boat slowly begins to dive down once again, you hear Rillia giving a few short clicks and a whistle, which Lyra, you can kind of hear. Because he's not speaking as an animal, it doesn't translate very well for you. He's using... Yeah, I wonder how this would work with Speak with Animals. I'm going to say the magic doesn't really know how to handle this. And you get like a general sense of a question that he's asking, a question about something nearby or something happening in the near future or near past. It's kind of like a vibe of a query about something soon or that's happened recently.
Is he within 60 feet of Lyra?
He is within 60 feet of you.
Can I try and open up a telepathic link? Just while we're with the linking tattoo? Just while we're close enough with the whale-like creatures. So I'm just thinking, like, if maybe I can help transmit this question and get an answer, like
the
firm answer.
cetaceans are also within 60 feet as well.
Oh, they were seemingly speaking language, weren't they?
They did seem to be speaking some form of language.
No, I think I'm still going to try and link up with the Triton because I don't know what question they're asking.
Yeah. As you look at Rillia and form that bond, Lyra, you're running out of air quite quickly at this point. You sort of go, and then go back down again. You form that telepathic bond with Rillia. As the connection locks in, you hear Rillia go, What is this? Hello?
Passenger on the boat. I can talk with them.
Eladrin.
Yeah, what was the question? You're asking a question? We're on a...
I was
I might be able to
asking
help.
why they have come here and if they have any news of the depths. Has there been any signs of the volcanic eruption? Just wanted to know if there was any information they could have for us. Cetaceans are wise and intelligent creatures.
And then just to double check, does it seem like the cetaceans have responded to the initial Triton question?
It seems like they're still considering it. He's just started to phrase this question. You can hear the music begin to rise once again as they begin to talk amongst themselves almost in this moment.
All right. I'm going to wait for them to reply. just to, I don't want to, like, you know, sort of give too much information and
Yeah. There's a moment's pause, and then you hear the song pick up again from the largest one that is much closer to the boat. Water trembles, vibrations carry their things in the dark, dangers for our calves. We have brought them to the surface. Things stir in the deep.
Can I clock to see how much of that translation Aurelia's picked up?
Yeah, you can see really is picking up a bit of it. Like, the general gist, he's kind of nodding as he picks up some of it. But as you communicate the full message, you can sense a confusion coming back across the link. Because he's like, you speak their language better than I do, and yet clearly this is the first time you have seen them.
It's a spell, not a innate talent or anything like that. Hey, just a quick question. They're running, you know, with their calves. Do you know of some perhaps safe, shallower water that they might be able to sort of be in, where they're not going to be in too much danger of, you know, getting stuck or landlocking or anything like that? Like, they're after a safe place from what lurks below.
Right. Any of the passageways between the isles over on the western half, the archipelago should be good. I can communicate that with them if you like.
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm not sure if it will be helpful for them, but anything helps, right?
You hear that message pass back, an acknowledgement, and then the enormous creatures begin to turn and move towards the west, swimming slowly, lazily as they begin to move away. As you get back, head back above water, shake off the salt water from your eyes, which are stinging slightly. You watch as Rilia climbs back aboard the boat, heads over to Mac, speaks a few words, and then dives back in the water again. You watch as Mac looks over at the rest of you and goes, well, that was exciting for a bit of night sailing. You are very lucky to see cetaceans. Very lucky. I have seen them maybe 3 times before this.
That was cool. There was a few of them down there.
Yes,
we got lucky a few times. Like,
we got lucky that there were not water elementals attacking us. We managed to get the boat out of the way in time, and you managed to keep them feeling calm.
How many years of fuel, Lyra?
Like, I think I heard 4, 5, maybe 6 if you include the calf. I'm not quite sure.
Is that what you think, or are you lying to exaggerate? Because I think you heard 3.
No, I've got no
three
idea.
songs. Okay, yeah, you heard three voices.
I'm like, there were 4 adults and a calf, I think.
They thought
you
you
heard
were
3
the calf.
voices respond. There could be more though. Yeah. You heard 3 voices sing out.
3 responses, and maybe mention of a calf.
And Mac, do you think that we didn't come across water elementals because of how quickly we acted, or is it suspicious that there wasn't any?
I think a combination of quick thinking and keeping the lights on the surface of the water so they were still feeding. I don't think at any point there was any sense of danger from us. If they had seen us and spooked, or if they had crashed into the boat trying to feed, if the fish had scattered aboard the boat, or even if they had seen you flying above, shapes flying above the surface of the water, you two Owlin flying, would have been enough to trigger that danger. As it is, I think we are lucky that they did not attack. I have never heard of cetaceans traveling without at least 1 or 2 water elementals surrounding them. They are born, and water elementals seem to form nearby very quickly once they are born. It's a relationship that's well known.
Hey Mac, just on the map, whereabouts are we currently in relation to the sort of the shallow and deep water?
Yeah, so you guys are currently over fairly deep water in between these 2 kind of splinter islands to the northeast and southwest of Montreal as you make your way down towards Heatmeave. You've not hugged the coastline, you've actually headed out into deeper water almost immediately.
It's just the reason I was saying is they were saying that there were some kind of dangers to their calves.
You could speak to them. You could understand them.
Yeah, that's why I stuck my head underwater for like couple
Oh,
minutes.
I thought you were just trying to see them. I thought you were very excited to see cetaceans. I too would have, if I did not have to man the rudder, I would have dived in to see them closer.
Yeah, no, that's fair. They're really cool. But yeah, also it turns out they speak Myconid, which was really strange. That they,
I was wondering why Swampy made an appearance. Is it?
Yeah. I mean, like I started off with like just the usual speak with animals spell, but after a while, like I was sort of hearing the songs. I'm like, oh, hey, that's similar to Myconid songs, so I gave it a try. Anyway, sorry, back on topic. Creatures that they were scared of coming up from the depths of where they reside. I'm not.
Wait.
I'm not.
You mean there's something bigger down there?
Well, if they're scared of it, at least for their calves' sake, I'm scared of it. I mean, it's probably nothing fun and fluffy, that's for sure.
I look at Mac and I go, have you heard of creatures from the deep that hunt those creatures?
Even if it's just myths.
Oh no, it's more than myths. We do know that cetaceans and kraken will fight in the depths. They both eat each other on rare occasions and rare occurrences. It is a flip of a coin, a roll of a dice for who would win each time. But there are other creatures in the deep waters as well. Creatures that use magic to confuse their mind. Cetaceans have a protection against it. They can block that kind of magic and charm, but their calves are not as practiced. Cetaceans are at their most vulnerable when they are young. They live for a long time. The ones you spoke to that big, they've been around for hundreds of years, those ones. They live for a very long time.
I don't think it counts as metagaming because we brought it up with Davian. I'm just going to sort of under my breath, but so that the party can hear, not starting a conversation, but just Bart's internal thoughts. An aboleth, maybe.
Aboleth, yes, that is the name I have heard people use before. Yes, there are aboleths down in the depths, for sure. And creatures enslaved to them, mind and body. Yes. Oh, yes.
The aboleths couldn't have taken on the water elementals, could they? I mean, it just seems coincidental that you're sort of saying that it's surprising that there's no water elementals with them, and that.
I'm not saying that they're not with them. I think with water elementals in the water is you can't see them. They are essentially invisible. It is only when they begin to move against the currents or rise above the surface of the water that you can see them. Water elementals are very dangerous underwater, as you can imagine. The best thing you can do is look for strange eddies or flows, silt or things that have been pulled up and forming. They pull things into their core. The water always moves in one direction, so you can see water elementals if you can get things into them to differentiate them from the water around. Normally cetaceans have one or two, but they are passive unless the cetaceans are frightened or angry, or if the water elementals are triggered by a sense of danger around. So I think we were just quick enough. We got the boat out of the way. We communicated with them quickly enough. I think it was a case of quick thinking. I've never heard of cetaceans traveling without water elementals. That would be highly unusual. Highly, highly unusual.
Okay, well, I mean, just based on what they were sort of saying, they themselves seemed kind of concerned at the depth. I'm not sure how possible it is with the amount of debris in the water, but it could be worth moving into the sort of the shallower zones. I mean, we were sort of maybe directing them to head westward where there's sort of, a few of the safer estuaries and whatnot, but I'm just thinking, if they're scared of it, I'm kind of scared myself.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea. I think we could, it will take us a bit longer, but I think it's probably worth doing. Maybe heading into more shallower water. The only thing we have to be a bit afraid of with shallower water is pirates. But at this time of night, I think, and with the volcano erupting, I think we should probably be okay.
Volcano pirates?
I'll be honest, I'm more comfortable escorting you against a pirate ship than I am an aboleth.
Likewise.
Here.
Okay.
At least I can punch pirates.
Yeah.
That is true.
Bart would like to, as they're getting the ship ready, sort of head to Ember for brief conversation. Just a thought that's kind of crossed my mind with all the elements we're having. Not sure if there's other stuff we're doing first, though.
You can have a chance at no.
Ember, with everything that's been happening recently, the stone giants and that large primordial creature, these Cetaceans, we're about to head to volcanoes. Head to your people, fire giants. It's our next sort of go. I like having a plan for things. Do your people know of... we seem to almost be running into them like a collection, these primordial beasts attached to each of the elements. Does fire have any sort of an animal like that you're aware of? Something that we should keep an eye out for? Something that maybe the fire giants are using to ignite the volcanoes? I don't know, just anything that we can prepare for.
Look, I mean, DM question. I don't think I would actually know there'd be any beasts around that be fire related. I think from my experience, I've just had the spirits themselves, no actual giant creature accompanying.
Do you want to make a bit of a roll to see if you know of any? I guess so this would be a Arcana or a Nature check to see if you know of any animals associated very specifically with the element of fire. And we're sort of talking like mythological.
I feel
stories
like it could be
and
almost
tales.
Like creator myths or like ancient stories that your people might have told.
While this is happening, while this conversation is happening, Niles is kind of like listening in the background. Because like being from the Aeris theocracy and having connections to the air.
Oh, bro, I didn't even think of that as well. Yeah,
I want to think about air elemental air creatures that maybe are rooted in our mythology as well.
Yeah. Ember 11. I mean, there's a couple of obvious creatures that jump out as having a connection to fire. I mean, red and gold dragons, probably the most obvious one that immediately springs to mind. I mean, both of them are ancient creatures that have a flame breath attack, but you know that the likelihood of any... I mean, you've never heard of anyone having a dragon fire spirit. Normally the spirits are very animal-esque, based upon the connection with the natural world through the Firbolg who embodies them. I mean, you know that there are other groves out there, other circles who utilize spirits of other elemental types. You've probably even met, with an 11, I'm going to say you've met someone who was using a spirit or had a connection with a spirit. Maybe a Firbolg traveled to your circle who had a spirit that was connected to the elemental plane of air. And so their spirit, their wildfire spirit, was one that actually was it dealt lightning damage instead because it was connected to the plane of air. And it was like a lightning elemental spirit. And let's say, for the sake of argument, that it was a very long, elongated snake-like creature with massive wings that stretched out across its form as it sort of flew around, like a winged snake, essentially.
Perfect. So responding back to
Rayquaza.
So responding back to Bart,
Busted.
In terms of our own mythological creatures, I mean, we have stories about how the Ash Grove became the Ash Grove itself, but that was from one of our ancestors essentially having to scorch the land because of invaders, not because of a creature itself, aside from things that you may have heard. But I do know that there are... Mm-hmm.
You go. I've got something else for you. I've got an extra thing for you at the end.
But, I mean, we do know that there's other elements. I know in this area there are some other Firbolgs that use water spirits as opposed to fire. I've met air spirits as well through travels. So it's nothing that I'm aware of. I mean, I know going into a volcano, it might be handy. I have a couple of things that I can do to help resist the heat for myself.
I just have pessimism. Like, what in the small scenario of horrible things that could go wrong, which I always try to plan for, what if lava in a volcano in the heat is the least of our worries? What if there is some primordial creature living in the lava that then accidentally attacks us? We've already had that happen twice now with the Cetaceans and with the Earth Beast. I don't want a third, especially with a creature that literally swims in something that melts my face off.
I mean, I definitely would agree, and I know that I can, as I said, I can protect myself. But in terms of, So I do have a plan for something along those lines. If there is something that's living within the lava, I may be able to choose. I do have certain spells that I can utilize to give them a weakness potentially to that element that they might be living in. So I'm hoping if it does come to that situation, we can almost use that environment against them.
Okay. As long as we have precautions, that's where my mind is at. Knowledge, information, anything like that.
No, I've thought about it.
Yep.
No, that's literally what I was saying. Yep.
Ember, as Bart talks about the origin of the Ash Grove and the history of it, as you kind of reflect upon it, could you make me a history check with advantage, please? There's a few things that kind of sort of, I would say, like float to the surface of your memory in this moment that Ember would know, but Simon might not. And I'll make sure that you do. Niles, nature check for 15. What would you like to know? Same thing.
Well, mine's more rooted around, like, as I'm listening to them talking about these creatures that are have an affinity with elements, and specifically, you know, obviously Ember coming from the Ash Grove and having an affinity with fire, and now having experienced some of these creatures that have come from the depths, and then sort of associating that with more water. I want to think if there's anything like in our like Eris histories, perhaps creatures or spirits or beings that we have maybe dealt with before or interacted with or anything like that. Because obviously, you know, we have some sort of a complicated history with the air elementals, the air plane. So I just wanted to see if there was anything from scriptures, from anything that I might have read during my monastic sort of upbringing that might be able to come to light and maybe, you know,
a fighting style designed after one of them.
Yeah, well, like there's anything that might be there, you know, from an air perspective specifically.
Yeah. What was your history check, Ember? We'll do that first, then I'll do Niles.
My history check.
Can I get a history check with advantage from you? Because there's some things you might know that Ember might know that you do not.
That is a 10.
You do have advantage. You got another roll? Because this is something Ember's likely to know. 10. It is a 10. You know that the Ash Grove was, you 100% correct. The Ash Grove was formed, the very first circle of the Wildfire Druid formed the Ash Grove in response to some invasion, some threat. You're not sure, you don't really remember exactly what it was. I mean, history was never something you really cared too much about. You were much more interested in like learning the different techniques that you could do with Flicker, learning how to care and look after Flicker, how to sort of build up Flicker's power, and I guess like as well in some way the actual like spells and magic side of things. You were always really interested in that as well, so that was kind of more your focus. But as you're kind of reflecting on it in this moment, you remember that there was something to do with a blight. You're not sure what kind of form that took, but the first of the Wildfire Druids were formed as a way of combating some blight-like invasion, you think. Yeah, seems right, that kind of thought. But you don't know too much more about it than that in your mind.
No, so good context. I don't know whether I'd want to share too much of that because I don't know how proud I'd be, or like, I mean, not knowing full details, I wouldn't necessarily need to communicate that across.
Yeah, no, absolutely fair. Niles, 15 for your nature check. As you're sort of thinking through, Ember had to walk 14,000 steps with Flicker's egg form to hatch it.
That's
it. Niles, as you kind of focus through thinking through creatures or mythological beasts associated with the elemental plane of air. Obviously the elementals spring to mind, but they're hardly beasts. An animal or a beast or creature that kind of stands out to you in this moment, though, is a rock. An enormous bird-like creature, an enormous eagle, a gigantic form. Able to stay aloft for days, weeks even. Its massive wings able to catch the currents and move the air around it, probably more than what should be possible for a creature without drawing upon some form of magic. In that moment, that's probably what stands out to you in that sort of moment, thinking through, like, yeah, rocks are pretty... And you know that there are very rarely sightings of rocks on Nostea. There's not a lot of them. There are some. And as you think through with a 15, you realize, or you remember, I would say, that the first reports of rocks were only made after the Owlin and Aarakocra had been brought through those rifts during the ruin, which means that the rocks that are on Nostea are likely also from Eris, possibly having been brought through similar tears in space and time that the Owlin and Aarakocra.
Interesting.
Just quickly, because I'm a fanboy for rocks. Very first time I saw one, Age of Mythology, having a flashback.
Hell yeah, that's my boy.
They're in D&D, they're fucking huge, right? They're like adult dragon or ancient dragon size.
They're massive. Their wingspan is like, I think it's like 100. It's massive. It's a number of meters. It's like 100 meters wide or something ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure
They're
I was
huge.
doing like the conversion with one set. It's like 400 to 500 feet. Like it's over 100 meters.
Yeah. 15, Niles. You're so close to... I'm going to give you this anyway, because you're so close to the DC cutoff. There is one story, right as you're kind of like moving, as your mind moves away, there is one story that suddenly pops back into your mind. And you're not quite sure why. Maybe just because thinking about rocks brought this back, but you remember a story you were told as a hatchling of an enormous bird, a rock, but a different to other rocks, one that was perpetually surrounded by storm clouds and lightning, known as a thunderbird. In that moment, you kind of remember, sometimes there's a storm bird, sometimes there's a thunderbird, an enormous rock that seemed to be, almost... You can't remember the story exactly from your childhood, but there was some brave Owlin who had to fly up above the storm clouds, and when he got there, realized that the storm itself was actually just the wings of this enormous bird. The lightning from its feathers, the friction as it beat its wings, the thunder was the sound of its wings beating in the air. The Owlin had to head below and warn his villagers that the storm that had, was hovering above them was actually a giant. Yeah, you remember this kind of tale from being a hatchling. Yeah, kind of stands out in this moment.
Kind of nod to myself, like...
Yeah.
Native American history does not get enough D&D attention. Thank you.
It does not, and it is going to get more attention in this campaign.
100%.
Yeah. That's what you kind of remember.
I mean, side note, my favorite, Native American sort of adjacent horror creature is definitely the Wendigo. I love the Wendigo lore and everything around that is very cool.
It's funny we're talking about this. I'm going to give you a little spoiler. One of your water... you know that you're close to the water tamer, the water circle, the circle of water druid. Her wildfire or waterfire spirit, I guess. What do we call... I haven't come up with a name for that yet. I will come up with one. Her spirit is also Inuit Native American in origin.
Oh, cool. I remember getting here early, the spoiler for that. It's a fucking cool creature. I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah.
Good
and
luck.
I'm also going to reveal...
Simon, you're going to get fucked.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You don't know this yet, but I've also based Flickr a little bit on native South American mythology.
I say that
too.
I say that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just some fun side things.
As the boat continues, due to the paranoia of... I know Mac is very chill about, the water elementals were there, bro. They were just invisible. Bart is on, hyper anxious alert of, there's an aboleth that's been killing them off, or maybe whatever is in the fire has been attracting the attention of the water elementals, protecting the... I'm just going to be constantly looking out on the edge of the water for anything. I was already doing that for refugees floating on, driftwood, but especially now, that's all I'm going to be doing. Just looking.
So Harry and Bart just peering over the side.
one on starboard, one on port.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of you just looking out.
Comparing notes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Freaking out over every single splash of water.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You did not get into combat. You did not suffer any effects that would interrupt your long rests. I'm happy for you to continue your long rests as planned. and there are no more interruptions to your journey for this next leg. All of you may benefit from a long rest. You may heal, you may return your spell slots, and any other features that return on a long rest. Any magic items, if you need to roll for those, do those now.
Even if we were the ones that weren't taking the shifts?
Even if you're the ones not taking the shifts, let's talk about that. That's a good point. For those of you who were taking a long rest, you get your long rest. For those of you who were kind of flying above, my question is are you taking shifts, or are you going to try and power through and stay awake the whole night? Because if you are, there are going to be... We need to talk about that.
I was going to say, after the 4 hours for Lyra, she can take over someone else so that they can at least get,
Look, I definitely was more roleplay wise. I was definitely more focused on the refugees. I don't need too much of a rest, and I know that we were doing shifts of 2 people sleeping and then another 2 people. How long rest wise? How is Harry and Niles looking?
Well, I mean, Harry napped on the ship on the way here on purpose with the.
Did you get a long rest then, or just a short?
I mean, it was. How long was the ship? It was like 4-hour trip, so I guess it's a medium.
A medium rest.
Yeah. But like, as far as resources wise, Harry is fine. Like, I'm fully stocked. In fact, if I take a long rest, I lose my 10 hit points, so I actually lose stuff.
Yeah, same.
Well, I will take one then, just to get the last couple of extra spell slots that I can't get back because I've used my Channel Divinity too many times now.
I feel like maybe like while we're flying around, I can see you're keen to keep powering through, and I would just say
hey, take a rest, mate. Yeah.
Perhaps we would be better suited to help the refugees.
I'm kind of fucked.
Yeah, well, there you go. You don't need me to convince you then.
Okay. On the bright side, I didn't even think of this. It removes the level of exhaustion, which is nice.
Yeah,
it does indeed, which is definitely worth it.
Very
As dawn begins to break. Oh yes, Ali.
I was just going to say, if it's any helpful for Mac, I've picked up navigator's tools and cartographer's tools. So if it helps with navigating the boat, if they also need to take a rest, they mentioned the
full proficiency with the Eladrin stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eladrin are really good. Is there an Eladrin mod for Baldur's Gate 3? There must be.
Jinx.
Does that mean that your Eladrin form has changed because you have taken on these new proficiencies?
No, so your season is not tied to the number of times that you've done it, or if you've tied it to the tools,
It's only connected to certain spells, right? Like Misty Step and...
Literally just your Misty Step.
Yeah.
And the effect that comes with that.
That's cool. There you go.
There is a mod for Eladrin. I might need to replay with it. Can you imagine an Eladrin glamour bard? Fuck. You'd be a menace. You'd be such a menace. Oh man, that would be quite fun. It's just you're literally just clowning on everyone. That'd be very entertaining.
Sounds very chaotic.
And if you took the Fey Warlock as well, just for the extra stuff. Oh, multi-class Fey Warlock, glamour bard, Eladrin. Oh. They're the worst. I'm gonna look into this and see if I can build that. That sounds like it sounds like the worst character ever. I imagine him speaking like Nigel Thornberry with a very large, glorious moustache. Hello, smashing. Oh, I'm sorry. I appear to have insulted you so bad you've died. Whoops. I think it'd be very funny. I'm gonna look into this. Wow. If you want the adventures of Nigel Thornberry, please let me know. I'll record it and put it up. That'd be great fun.
I want to see that character creation. I want to see that.
I might just do that as a short. Hello.
Yeah, I'm feeling a one shot, a Nigel Thornberry one shot.
That'd be quite fun.
All the Thornberries in general one shot.
The entire Thornberry family.
That is ooh.
That might be a fun Halloween special. That might be a fun Halloween special, actually. I'm just thinking.
What else would they be, though? Because you have to decide Bunny to one of them.
That's great. I think you're both going to have to play Donnie.
What does the monkey sound like? The monkey is like...
Oh,
like,
no. He's just a dude, yeah.
He's just a guy.
He's just a guy.
Waking up from the boat ride, as I'm not sure if like dawn's breaking or whatever's happening.
Yeah.
A long rest does also trigger, I guess, a bit of like a morning whistle. The early bird gets the worm of inspiring leader and musician. So anyone that did lose hit points, 12 is the max. And does anyone? I'm going to take one of my inspirations, but I have 2 others to hand out if anyone's used them since last time. Because I know we did a lot of roleplay. No? Okay. I'm just going to give them to Mac and the Triton.
Oh, perfect. As dawn begins to break, the sun rising over the eastern mountains of Dromethion, the elemental states, you can see the mountain range casting shadows across the water as the sun rises behind them before slowly rising above the edge of the horizon, casting a warm glow across the land. But as the sun rises higher and higher, it's soon lost behind the haze of ash and clouds that block high above you, as the sunlight is sort of compressed and squashed before disappearing entirely, the shadow of this volcanic eruption looming over you. With the sun rising once again, you can clearly see the volcanic island now in front of you, the enormous caldera rising up out of the ocean, spewing forth an endless stream of smoke. And now that you've gotten a lot closer to it, at this point, it looks like you're only a few miles out of Heatmeave. As you've gotten a lot closer to it, you can see magma pouring from the caldera down into the ocean. Steam rising in clouds around it, propelling the smoke even higher into the sky, mixing with the smoke, and that superheated steam pushing it higher and higher into the atmosphere. As you begin to move along the coastline, there are more and more chunks of what looks like this very large, porous-like rock floating on the surface, along with hundreds of thousands of little tiny fragments of it. It looks like there are these like little tiny chunks of pumice, and then enormous chunks that are still floating, some of them just beneath the water's surface. You can occasionally hear them clunking into the side of the boat, echoing through the hollow wood. As it smacks into the side of the raft every so often. Rilia has had to get out of the water. You can see that his gills are clogged with what looks like this like section of like tiny pumice, foam from the water, as well as ash that he has to clean out with water before slowly sealing them once again, coughing up a glob of slimy mucus. It's getting pretty polluted down there. I'm going to have to stay on the boat for the moment as we get closer to the shadow of the volcano. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be much use underwater now.
Oh, thank you for all of this, by the way. We spoke to Mac earlier, but we haven't really had too much of a chance. Bartholomew, Rilia?
Rilia, I had a chat with your Harrengon companion, Harry.
Oh, I see. He's the friendliest of us all. It's nice to meet you. Are there many Tritons from the Shattered Isles?
I am not quite from the Shattered Isles. Me and my people come from Seastride. We live beneath the floating city. There are
yes.
vast spires of coral and shell we reside in beneath the city.
One of the storm callers spoke to me on the island. She mentioned that some of the festivals and ceremonies that take place there. It sounds beautiful.
Storm. Oh, you met with the Tide Mistress there.
Yes. Sorry, the names.
Yes. Well, we have 3 Tide Mistresses serving at the pleasure of Melora. One of whom is a Triton, 2 of whom are Meloran orcs. There are normally like to have more, but less and less girls are being chosen.
Oh. Is there any reason why?
I'm not sure. It takes time.
I'm sorry. Where are my manners? I'm Niles, by the way.
Niles. Pleased to meet you. Lyra. Yes, Ember. Good.
Just to save you introducing yourself to every NPC every time.
How do you know Mac?
Oh, we're both from Seastride. I've travelled with Mac a number of times, and Setu.
As he nods to both of them, you watch as the 2 Meloran orcs give him a nod. Setu is now trying to repair...
the husband, right?
The husband, yeah. Setu's currently repairing the rope he had to cut and having to re-thread part of the sail. In the midst of having to get the boat moving quickly, obviously to cut a few ropes now, he's trying to repair them, fix everything up, get it all sorted. As he gets everything locked in, gives him a bit of a nod. You watch as Setu gives a bit of a smile. Rilia nodding back.
Yes, we have traveled a few times together. Sometimes I've acted as a scout for them. Other times we've been on adventuring groups together, finding things, searching for things. A few fishing trips. Yes, we've spent a number of years together.
I'm not sure if that's helpful, but if you come across those the deep whale dudes again, sorry, I've completely forgotten their name again.
Yes.
Cetaceans. The term sea swimmer, they do seem to identify, I'm guessing, anyone swimming in the water as such. And as soon as they saw that you were a sea swimmer, they just were like, okay, we're open out.
Yes, they're not too worried about Tritons. We are known to cetaceans, as are the Maloran orcs. They struggle to differentiate us sometimes. I guess to a creature that large, we look very small. We have similar skin colors as well, I guess, if that's something they pay attention to.
So the Maloran orcs have shades of sort of that light greenish blue. The Tritons, much darker greener blue and colors of these kind of aqua patterns as well, counter shading a bit as well. But I mean, as you think about it, you kind of squint a little bit. Yeah, if you blur them both out, actually, Maloran orcs and Tritons, just from coloration alone, are pretty similar. Yeah. Similar height as well, both quite tall.
You mentioned that Tide Mistresses and your connections with Melora. Are you a believer? Are you a worshipper of Melora yourself?
I am not, but I respect those who do. Religion is not for me. I know the gods exist, but I have no need or motivation to worship them.
Agnostic.
You watch as Mac rolls his eyes and goes, "You do not need to worship Melora. That is the best bit about Melora. She does not want your worship. She just wants you to work in the way." You see, really immediately zone out. You can see sort of this clearly a conversation I've had many times.
I'll actually place a hand on Rilia's shoulder, looking towards Mac and the others. The term is agnostic. Most of the Owlin and Aarakocran are actually the same. We see the gods as beings, but not things of divine worship.
See, it's not as uncommon as you claim it is, Mac.
All right. The birds have their own thing. Whatever.
I kind of look at Bart and go, "Are you still of that way of thinking then, Bart? Even after your experience back where we were?"
Look, when things go as large as Hadar and all the entities we've seen, the knowledge that maybe even gods have been crafted, such as what we've been learning about Anam, it doesn't sound omnipotent, something that was born at the beginning of time. It just sounds like something that's a great to us, the same as we are great to ants. I think I still feel the same.
There's one way of thinking about it. It does beg to question what divinity means then.
If ants could ask for your help, would you help them?
If they formed a weird circle and tried to summon me, it would be interesting. So I do see why warlock packs are formed.
I've always found that quite funny. Yeah, it's 100%. If I saw ants forming like weird shit, I'd be like, I do. When I see insects or animals doing stuff, that I'm always kind of like, what are you guys up to? What's going on?
Yeah.
You spell out your name?
Put down some sugar cubes.
Impressed.
It's Australia. At some point, the spiders are going to gain some form of like society, and we're just going to live alongside them. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, get a couple more.
We're all just superstitious pigeons.
It's exactly right. 100%.
Are we close enough, you reckon, to start using the fabric that was gotten by our two shoppers?
Oh yes, 100%. Yeah, I was going to bring that up actually.
Yeah.
It's a good time to start putting those bandages on over your nose and mouth, wetting them either with seawater or with fresh water. I would probably advise fresh water. Just
I've got the water just.
Oh, okay. I got to pull out my multitude of water skins and you just pull out a single bottle.
Yeah.
They're for an emergency.
Okay.
Have the alchemy here. What's it?
Like you watch as Lyra pulls out a decanter of endless water. And you think to yourself, oh no, I have many like I guess water skins of ended water, like
That can be distributed between people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, watch this. Mayonnaise! The mayonnaise comes in.
That's right. You've got the alchemy jug.
Yeah.
That's a magic trick.
It's outstanding. Did we? How do we rule it? Did we rule that it's a jug with lots of different corks, and if you pull out one, that's a different? Yeah. So each one is the different. Yeah. Cool. I like that. I think that looks really dumb.
Is it just
really
any
fun.
liquid?
No, there's a bunch of
vinegar.
different ones.
It's oil, vinegar, water, mayonnaise. How many of these can I remember off the top of my head?
There's a few
is
more.
there honey?
There is. Okay, so there's acid.
Shit. Don't get those mixed up.
Acid, basic, poison, beer, honey, mayonnaise, oil, vinegar, water fresh, water, salt, and wine.
I did pretty good, actually. I got a fair few of
Did
those.
pretty
on the
well.
list. I forgot there was acid
good.
and poison. I forgot that you could pour acid and poison from it. Fuck.
Yeah,
Fuck, the alchemy jug's actually amazing.
There's actually 8 ounces of it too, which is not that to sneeze at for acid.
Depending on the poison too, like
hang on, what's
coatings.
The vials of acid are pretty expensive. I had a part
That's a cup.
in one of my
25 grams.
create a passive Wall Street income by just spending downtime in a city, pouring it into vials, and then selling it on like the black market.
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
that's essentially a cup.
Yeah. So I like to flavor it as like, you know how like sometimes like monks or traveling warriors, they'll carry like a big gourd, like think like the Sun Wukong style.
Yes.
It's like that. So it's like I have that kind of like on my side.
You only use it for mayonnaise.
So far, you've only used it for mayonnaise. Yeah. Do you know there's other corks?
I don't know if I do. I don't think I've actually like looked into it.
I love the idea of you don't know what the corks do, and so far you've only been game enough to try one, and you found mayonnaise, and you're like, oh great, well I guess these are all like superfluous corks.
Yeah.
As far as you're aware, Lyra has a decanter of endless water. You're pretty sure you have a decanter of endless mayonnaise.
Yes.
You're pretty sure that's how it works.
2 gallons of it.
2 gallons of mayonnaise. That's a lot of mayonnaise.
So much.
That's like rations. That's 2 days worth of rations, 3 days worth of rations. That's a lot of energy, protein, fats, and sugars.
That's all you need, baby.
You could live off that.
Live off my jar.
It'd be a sad fucking existence. Can you imagine? Like, as Ember wakes up, you're like, you ready for your morning mayonnaise? And it's like, I'm okay, thanks. You just start pouring mayonnaise down.
That'd be wrong. That'd be so wrong.
Oh my god.
Oh, that makes me think that awful. Would you rather?
Would you rather 8 ounces of mayonnaise as your rations or 1 cup of acid?
Wow.
Oh fucking hell. So
great.
weird. Man, best magic item in the game. The best ones are the dumb ones for sure. Alchemy jug is so good. Oh my god. And you don't even have to say bippity boppity boop to make it work, which is my favorite part. Harry. As the boat begins to get closer and closer towards the town of Heatmeave, you can see smoke beginning to rise over the forest. The islands at this section that you've passed through, a lot of them are quite mountainous, but the town of Heatmeave seems to be located on an island that is far flatter, far more at sea level than the surrounding islands. In fact, the enormous volcano rising above it almost is sort of casting the town in its shadow. It is so large compared to the very flat area of land down towards the eastern edge of this island. The northern and western part of the island is very mountainous, but it looks like, this part's been completely flattened. The town itself is fairly large compared to Mudria, where you've just come from. Not anything like Oxenfurt. It's certainly not a city, but I mean, you can see that this probably holds maybe 400-500 people. It's quite a large town, or it was at least. The town is seemingly deserted. You can see the smoke that's rising is a thin plume coming from what looks like a large bonfire in the center of town that has burned down to nothing. Maybe some sort of signal fire or mustering station, you're not quite sure. But there are no boats that you can see in the docks. The town is quiet and deserted, and no sound echoes across the waves. It is spooky how quiet it is as you get closer and closer. And as the Maloran Orcs, as Setu brings the boat in and docks it up, you watch as Mac looks around. I'm not sure that anyone else is here, did you want to have a look around first before we head back out?
Yes. Bart's gonna instantly, without the plate still, try to actually probably head to Niles first and ask if he can do the same thing as last night, and just for safety, head together in a pair. But I bought a little mundane item. This is perfect for right now. A bunch of small useful things when we got to the city. A signal whistle. Using the utilize action can produce sound that can be heard up to 600 feet away. So just going to sort of signal whistle as we're traveling and flying above the rooftops, trying to keep an eye out for anyone, and then make our way back to the group so that people follow the noise of the whistle, hopefully, if we don't see them ourselves.
Perfect. So, nice. Bart and Niles, you two are going to take to the air and see what you can see from the air. Ember, Harry, Lyra, did you want to have a bit of a look around the town? Mac and Setu are going to head back out on the boat, staying close to land, but they're going to have a bit of a look around, see if they can see anything around the other side of the island from the ocean, but they're going to stay within contact, especially with the realization you've got a signal whistle. They're going to be very, that's originally Mac was going to sort of say, well, look, if you send up some sort of magical sign, sparks or light, if you can, is there some way you have to communicate to bring us back? We will stay close to shore, stay around the shallower edge of the island, but see what we can see if there are any boats or people who have fled the town. Cool. All right. Yeah. Any signal in particular we should look out for, or signal whistle?
To save us using anything, I'll blow this 3 times quickly.
Fantastic. I don't have the best hearing, but Setu here, his keen ears. We will keep an ear out. We'll come back as soon as we hear the whistle. Otherwise, we'll be back in about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours tops.
If not, if you see giant streams of fire or anything else to the sky, just general distress signals.
Setu, I have no hand for magic, but Setu can make a series of lights fly up in the air. If you look out of the ocean and see dancing lights of color, that is our signal to come back to the boat as quickly as possible.
I did not know your husband dabbled in the magical arts.
Which is Setu nods. I don't know much, but I can do some things. I'm not too bad. Had a bit of practice when I was younger. Not enough to be a wizard, but picked up a few tricks.
Good to know.
Perfect.
Well then.
Alrighty. Harry
take to the skies then?
Wait, sorry. Yep. You guys go. Take to the skies as you take off immediately, flapping your large white wings, grey and white, brown wings in your case, Niles, taking off into the air. Harry, Ember, Lyra, are you going to explore the town while the 2 birds kind of stay overhead? Is the plan to kind of stay as a rough group fairly close together? You guys looking above, maybe communicating down through the tattoo to direct them in certain areas, so you've got like an air crew and a ground crew. Is that kind of the plan? What's the take me through, bring me with you?
Well, I was imagining Harry would climb on the rooftops and kind of be intermediate, because I don't know how dense this place is, right? But like the ground team to the air team could be a bit about the top thing.
Yeah.
And Harry wants to really listen, his big long ears, periscoping around to see if he can hear any reply back from the whistles or from anyone shouting for help.
Perfect. Mostly single or double story wooden buildings, not super clustered together. Imagine kind of like, like a coastal town, mostly constructed out of these wooden buildings, joined together in most parts by these large cables of rope that have banners hanging down from them, all different banners of colors as you pass through, allowing you a bit of an easy movement across the rooftops, Harry, as you pass over these quite strong ropes. You don't weigh a lot, you can easily pass over these. But while Lyra and Ember stick towards the ground, the streets are pretty wide. We're talking sort of like 5-6 meter wide streets, very, very wide streets, designed for people to walk as well as carts to move through down towards the docks. It's big enough that there would be horses and things moving through here. But the town is deserted. It is very, very spooky. As soon as you pass through the first few areas of the docks and begin making your way onto the city streets, for Bart and Niles above, for Harry, Ember, Lyra below, all of you can see that the town is almost like everyone just left suddenly overnight. There was some sort of volcanic eruption and everyone left. Yeah. It's
We're not
exactly
seeing
what.
bodies.
No,
like,
there's no
encased in
bodies.
ash.
It's exactly what you'd imagine. Everyone's just gone. Some doors hang open, occasionally moving in the breeze. Window shutters occasionally moving. You can hear what sounds like the occasional sort of sing of birds, but otherwise the cry of seagulls from the coast. But otherwise, it's eerily quiet. Yeah. There's a few bits of debris in the streets. You can see some abandoned parcels, packages along the docks. A few crates have kind of been knocked over and scattered. It looks like some fruit and vegetable have been knocked out just to lay in the streets. A thin layer of ash covers almost every surface, though. Fine grey particulate. This kind of dark ashen surface covering almost everything. You look concerned.
After a couple minutes of not seeing anyone, Bart is going to do the same thing as Blindenstone and is going to locate object dead body.
As you cast the spell, the magic pulsing out from you, the nearest dead body seems to be past what looks like a very large, probably one of the larger buildings that you can see out towards the eastern edge of the town, along the coastline, a little bit of a raised bluff. No beach here. Most of the town is surrounded by these beautiful beaches with white sand, but this area is a little bit raised up towards the back of the town, towards the eastern part, over towards the southeastern portion, raised up a little bit. It looks like some sort of church, and as your magic goes off, you can... Not a cemetery. The cemetery seems to be behind the church, but it's not the cemetery that pings your locate object. It's something like inside the church itself. Yeah.
Okay. Look, we're here to help people. We haven't seen any signs of danger, at least not openly. So rather than regrouping,
make perception or investigation checks. That's just what you see.
Yes,
with
please.
like the passive stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If anyone wants to make any checks, you're welcome to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Harry's listening and I guess observing as well, right? So.
Yeah.
23.
23. 15 for Christian. Yeah.
I'm probably more looking rather than hearing because Harry's sort of got the
telescopic ears. So 23 for Harry, 15 for Bart, 18 for Ember, 24 for Lyra, 18 for Niles. Wow, you guys have rolled really well tonight. So, Harry, let's do the 15 first. Let's do the 15 first for Bartholomew. As that locate object goes off, dead body, the ping from the church grabs your attention. What's more, you can see that the doors of the church have been closed up. Someone's gone to, it looks like the effort of boarding up some of the windows as well. And you can see that the metal gate surrounding it, the metal fencing surrounding it, has actually been, it looks like it's been chained as well. And these fences are much higher than you'd normally expect for just a garden fence. They're easily as tall as a person, maybe 6 foot, maybe even 7 foot.
Bart will try to get Niles to come over with him, and you're welcome to, if there's more with the perception checks, but there's stuff I want to do once I'm hovering above it.
Niles, 18 for perception. Ember, 18 for survival. Did you want to do a survival check rather than a perception? Nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to see any signs of where people might have run to, things like that. So much. What? Yeah.
100%. Let's do your survival check then, actually, and then we'll jump back to the perception checks. Ember, you can see there are tracks, many tracks coming from the town towards the docks. Clear signs that people were in a hurry for the most part, but there's no sign of too much chaos. It looks like people were being organized quite quickly. There are signs that you can see tracks where people were organized into lines and marched down from the dusty dirt streets onto the docks and then down towards what probably was ships that were docked here at some point. Looking at the pontoons that have been set up, looking at the ropes, you can see where ropes have been cut and let go. It looks like there's been a lot of work done here. Over towards the side where the shipyard is, you can see there are no boats currently being worked on in the shipyard. Loads of abandoned lumber and tools just tossed aside. With an 18 survival, you're pretty sure people were working on boats right up until the last moment. Anything that could float was probably made at least partly seaworthy, bound to a vessel that was able to travel and dragged along behind, possibly even just rafts created to help people get out of here. But the weirdest thing is why. the town is in the shadow of the volcano, sure. But there's no immediate danger that you can see right at this moment. I mean, the thin layer of ash is uncomfortable with your cloth fabric. You're able to sort of stop breathing in most of it. There's a strong smell of sulfur in the air all around you. These kind of really noxious, pungent gases that have clearly come from the volcano. But, I mean, it seems a bit of an extreme response. Harry.
Can Harry look up for signs for a fire giant?
That's what I was hoping for as well. Yeah.
Yeah. As you follow the tracks, sort of looking around through the tracks, yeah, you can see that again, like there was people moving quickly but orderly towards the docks, which matches what you'd heard from Mac, right? That they'd started the evacuation. They were slowly getting people who'd been struggling with the smoke inhalation, beginning to move them. But as you begin to head into town, you can see that there's an escalation. The tracks begin to become far more cluttered, far more frantic. And what's more, you can see that the ash in these parts of the town has fallen thicker than in other places. There are mounds of ash in some places against doorways, some of them even just in the street, these large piles of ash banked up as if it's been swept into a rough pile. You don't see any signs of fire giants. Harry, same for you. You don't see any signs of fire giants. With a 23 Harry and a 24 Lyra for your perception checks. Actually, sorry, we'll do Niles' perception check first. As Bart calls you over towards the church, yeah, you can see that there's been some effort to kind of board up and lock down the church. The gate's closed, there's windows being partly boarded up, and as you get a bit closer, for a moment, Niles, you think you see movement through one of the gaps in the boards, just for a moment, as if something on the other side shifted suddenly as you began to fly a bit closer. First floor, right up against a series of narrow windows depicting what looks like sun or probably this is a church to Lysander, goddess of the sun, but you're not 100% sure. Possibly. Yeah. Could also be Arathis or Palor, hard to say. I think you catch movement for a moment. 24 and 23. Harry and Lyra.
Question.
Yeah.
Before you flick to them, you mentioned the fence, like the fence being your 6 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that? Does it look like it's been made bigger in the moment, or is it already?
It looks like it's already. Yeah, it's old and rusted. The salt air has eroded it. You can see there's always a large metal fence surrounding this. Iron, most likely.
Is that unusual compared to the rest of the village? Are there any other larger?
No other massive
fortifications
fences
anywhere?
Yeah, no other massive fortifications or things anyway. But in the context of a church and a cemetery, it's actually not that unusual on Nostea to find churches and cemeteries surrounded by large fences. Necromancy is a thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes the dead do not stay quiet. And so it is not super unusual to see that, for sure.
But is it like in a prominently high location in the village? Does it look like it's a defensible position?
It almost does. It's up on a bit of a bluff. It's one of the higher points of this town. Yeah, it looks like it could be a bit of a defensible position. Lyra and Harry. Harry on the rooftops. As you begin to make your way, moving across these ropes, you begin to see that there's some piles of ash inside some of the buildings as well, which is very bizarre.
That's odd.
Yeah, that is very odd. I mean, the ash that's falling from the sky around you is pretty light at this point. It's not too crazy. And some of the windows, the shutters are open. You can see some ash is blown in, but there's some piles of ash as well.
In every home or just some homes?
No, just a couple. Yeah, just a few of them. Not the ones closest to the docks, some of the ones further back as you begin to make your way through the town.
Can Harry pop his eyes stealthily, through a window to have a look?
Yeah, you can get up and have a bit of a peek. Do you want to make me a stealth check while you do that? Lyra.
I would love to do a stealth check.
Yeah, Lyra, as you're on ground level, so you get a bit more. And you get a 24. 21, Harry. You just duck into a shadow underneath the awning of one of these buildings, moving quietly and stealthily. As you look in, pushing aside one of the window shutters very carefully. Yeah, you can see almost like it's kind of piled up underneath the windowsill, a pile of ash. And as you look closer at the shutter, you can see this 3-fingered burn mark in the wood of the shutter.
Okay. So, is there any jewelry in the pile of ash? For example, something that someone was wearing?
Lyra. As I was going to save this one for Lyra as our thing for tonight. I will do that only because it's so funny. Lyra, as you're kind of like moving through, it's really, really odd, all of these. And you're beginning to find more and more of them as you move back. There's a sudden gust of wind as the clouds above begin to trap some more of the air underneath. The wind changes just in that moment. You hear the sound of the palm trees bordering the edge of the village rustle for a moment. And you watch as the wind catches one of these piles of ash right in front of you, blowing it away. And as it does so, you see a glint of metal in it. As you bend down and lift it up, you slowly lift up a silver chain with a pearl embedded into the center of it, hanging down. Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
A pearl?
Yes.
In case this does
casing.
Mix
it's not
in
a pearl
with
of power,
things.
it's just a pearl necklace.
No, I was going to say pearls, famously not super heat resistant.
Oh, that's a good point. I may have fucked up there. It looks like a pearl, but it's been
with vinegar.
It's a good point.
And some sort of ruby.
It looks like a pearl, but on closer inspection, you can see it's clearly been cast in metal. The white sheen from the high heat exposure it had recently suffered. As you wipe away the whiter coating, you see it's just white ash. There is metal underneath. Good save. Good save.
As Bart and Niles are landing in the church, in case this does trigger whatever's happening. Obviously, we don't know what's happening in the streets,
No.
so not using any of their knowledge. Bart was already going to land and begin making his way on the inside of the fence with.
I believe there might be survivors in there.
That's what I think as well. I'm getting a ping of someone dead. I'm worried that maybe they're injured inside, like the Maloran orcs. And I'm going to cast a channel, or not cast, I'm going to use a channel divinity, grabbing my necklace for a divine sense. Any consecrated, desecrated ground, and any fey, fiend, or undead.
There are... The ground is not the ground is consecrated, I should say. It's not desecrated, it's consecrated. This is an active temple to a god in Nostea. It is consecrated. No fey, fiend, or undead triggered by your divine sense. But Harry, we're going to jump back and in with you tonight. As you do you actually pick through the ash at all, or are you just sort of looking at this point?
Harry checks the room first, make sure he's not being watched.
Yeah.
And then he will
empty.
pick through the ash. Yeah.
As you kind of like begin pushing the ash aside, just using a dagger or something. I'm guessing not with your fingers.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
Well, maybe my metal arm, but yeah, probably with a knife.
You do have it. You have a metal arm. That's a good point.
Probably with a knife. It's instinct.
As you like spin the metal fingers into like a fan, as you like start spinning and blowing away the ash. Yeah. As you begin to pick through, you watch as the ash seems to sort of like almost be displaced, and the lighter, the upper levels of the ash are super light. Even the slightest breeze catch them. You watch as a few flecks begin to rise up and float in the air in front of you, a sunbeam holding them in place. Can
I retcon and say that Harry wraps a rag around his face first because he does not want to breathe any of this in?
You've all got face masks on because there's ash falling. Yeah, you've all got rags on, wet with. Most of you using the decanter of endless water, possibly some of you using the vinegar from Niles's, or the mayonnaise. I guess you could use mayonnaise. Mayonnaise would capture a lot of ash and a lot of air.
Not poison, just
a lot of oxygen.
Easy treat as well. Yum.
Next, look, when inevitably some insane bird flu comes out of America because of what's going on there with their bird situation, remember, a mask made of mayonnaise will keep you safe. It's important information.
You heard it here first, everyone.
You heard it here first. As a few of the flecks of ash rise up and float in front of you, seems to be a pile of ash as you push through, and then your fingers bump into something metallic. And as you pull them aside, you can see what looks like a tooth. Partly melted and partly disfigured. It takes you a moment to recognize it, but a gold tooth that's been melted and slightly deformed by some heat. And then you watch as more of the ash begins to rise up, and more as it begins to swirl around. A moment later, forming this strange form in front of you. Long, pointed face, formed of ash, wings sprouting from its back as it rises up. You watch as its eyes glow with 2 red embers, a 3-fingered hand and 3-toed foot, as this creature flies up in front of you and looks around the room, the light from these coal ember eyes casting over the surface as you duck back into the shadows. And all around town, as this creature lets out a chittering cry, you watch as the ash begins to roll and gather, forming more and more of these creatures. That is where we're going to end for tonight.
Did I pocket the golden tooth?
Yeah, you can pocket the golden tooth for sure. Yeah. Add
a heart of gold and a tooth of gold.
Coming together.
Add a partially melted gold tooth to your inventory, please.
Does it have as much gold in it as like just a single coin, or is it worth something good? Or it doesn't sound like there's a lot of.
It'd be about a gold coin worth in a gold tooth. It would be a lot, would it? If you think
I want the necklace.
He wants the full necklace. Sorry, mate. Massive thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has been lovely having you all here. For those of you watching on Twitch, don't go anywhere. We're going to go and raid a lovely channel. For those of you watching on YouTube, and actually for those of you watching on Twitch, or listening to the podcast, if you think you know what this creature is, these ash-like forms, comment down below. I want to see if anyone figures out what these are. It's not. This is definitely a homebrewed D&D monster, but it's based on existing D&D monsters, and I reckon some of you might already have a good idea about what these are. So if you think you know what it is, comment down below. Make sure you leave a like as well and subscribe if you haven't already. It's the only way to make sure that all of the ash in this city doesn't form together to make a massive full-sized one. We're going to hopefully, if enough of you can subscribe and comment and like, it'll only be a couple of small ones. Man, challenge rating 20 is going to be pretty rough for these guys to handle.
We're going to fight Clayface.
You want to fight Clayface?
The
Sandman, yeah, Ashman. Thank you so much, everybody. We will bring across the stream to a raid right now. For those of you on Twitch, we are going to go and raid. Who is playing tonight? I think I saw the Cuter. No, maybe not. Let's have a bit of a peekaroo. It's so funny. Our normal friends aren't playing tonight. That's okay. Let's go and raid the Baker Camp. It looks like they're doing some Pathfinder, their Etheria campaign. Let's go and raid them. Another fellow Aussie group, so we should definitely go and raid them. Let me do that now. But everyone else, we will see you all in the next episode. Stay safe, stay well, and see you guys all again soon. Until next time, farewell, goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye.